Well, it's another section of the yard to do. This had vegetables in it last year, and it was still going when we left for Arizona. All those pots were filled with zinnias, so I started pulling everything out. And this is also going to be a vegetable plot this year. And it's just a matter of pulling everything. Now, a lot of people clean out their gardens, and at the community garden, I always have to. But at home, I let it, because there's a lot of bugs and insects that make their winter homes in your plants. There's a lot of hollow stems that they can lay in or they can hibernate in. And so I just have always left them. Here's everything cleaned out, and we're ready to plant. There's different columbines that are just growing in there. I got all the pots pulled out, except for those big ones over there. But those are going to get moved also. Those had sunflowers in them last year. So let's get started. Now, I like to lay wood down so that I'm walking on the wood, not on the soil. And I'm going to plant some herbs right next to these peonies. These were some peonies I planted last year, and they were really pretty small, but when they came up this year, they were really looking nice. Now, this is cilantro. It's really root bound. It's always a problem if you're not growing them yourself that can happen. But we're going to plant that in there, firm it in, put the little tag so that we can record what it is. Our next thing is parsley. Now, parsley, a lot of times will go to seed at the end of the year and it will just come back. And so I'm hoping that's what it'll do. Have a little metal sign that says parsley. And just pulling out this one also, very root bound. They start them very early so that they can charge you $5 for it. Great big worms all over this garden space. So we're just going to put the dirt around there, firm it in, and then put our tags once again. And I'm hoping that those herbs will just really fill in. And so when the peonies are dying back, the herbs will look really beautiful. Now, the last thing I'm going to plant for an herb is oregano. And usually I can get the oregano to come back each year. Just a little bit of mulching and it's okay. This one, not really root bound at all, so it's really easy to plant in there. But you can see when you're using that wood, even though you're stepping and stepping, it's not making all kinds of marks into your garden. And where that wood was, I'm actually going to plant carrots. So here's all of my 3 herbs that I planted: cilantro, and then parsley, and then oregano. And I decided I was going to plant the peppers first before I move the wood and plant the carrots. Now, these are all bell peppers, and one of the 6 packs is a multicolored. The other one is just yellow. I love bell peppers. I use them a lot in cooking, salads, all kinds of stuff. Just a little bit of root bound, just teasing those roots a little teeny bit, and then always firming them in. Now, it can get a little cool at night for peppers, and so I'll watch what it is, but I'm going to use those little clouches that I got at the dollar store to cover those. And I have 2 peppers that I didn't have enough clouches for, and there's little holes along those rims, so you just have to move your fingers around until you find the hole, and I'm just putting some metal stakes in there to push them down so the wind won't blow them away. And I'll go through and I'll put them on all of them, and it will really hold them. And then I'll push the dirt around the edges too, and I'll have all of the tops open. See, crunch that. But I'll have all of them open. Now it's time to plant more carrots. So every place that the wood was, I just left where it firmed it down. I'm going to sprinkle the carrots. I already did the back half. And then I'm just going to put a light dressing of soil on there. I'll pick out any worms or plants, little weeds that might be growing, and then I'm going to pat it down so that it will really firm it in there. And there is another trick, but I'm going to do that on Sunday. I'm going to just let it get really watered in. It's supposed to rain on Saturday and part of Sunday. And then I'm going to put aluminum foil down on top of where those carrots are. You can use cardboard, you can use aluminum foil, you can use metal. It does something to help it germinate faster. I think some of it is just that it stays wet. And we're going to plant some basil and different things. Now I had a roll that it's called a lavender roll, and it's got the seeds all in it. It's got moisture retention in there. So you just lay it down and put soil on top of it. So here, this part is all planted. So we have our peonies, and then we have our herbs, oregano, parsley, cilantro. Back there are some irises and columbines, and that's where our carrots are. Here's all of our peppers. See, the moisture in there is making condensation in those clouches. And then we have some eggplants, though I said I was never planting eggplant again. And Swiss chard in the front, and some purple basil. Now on the other side of the plum tree, there's more columbines that you can see, are 2 different squashes. And I can't tell you what kind they are because it was just a mixture. Now I pushed all of my pots back, and we are going to do a zinnia mix. Now it used to be when you bought these bags, every seed was coated and it was green inside, green on the outside. It's really fun to use. They do it a little bit different. The seeds aren't coated, but it's okay. They will work beautifully. I love zinnias, and so I'm just using my fingers to kind of work that in about a 1/4 of an inch down so the seeds have some good contact with the soil, and I'll make sure I water them in good. But I'm going to do every single bucket along there, along the front with zinnias. So I'll have just a burst of color. Now those big pots that were next to the house, I'm actually going to put tomatoes in. And so here's 3 of them there, and they're right along the edge by the peonies and right next to one of the beehives. And then I put one over by the pizza oven. And these are all big beef tomatoes. So here's all my pots with the zinnias. And we're going to walk all the way down to the end, and then we'll find our last tomato. And so it's a great job done. I moved some of the stuff that was on the front part of the patio back here that we only use once in a while. And I'm happy.